Welcome back to The Grind for another Knull video. Now, in this video, we're going to take a look at his signature ability. And I did make a mistake in my overall Knull guide. His Sig ability does not automatically give him 15 Living Abyss at the start of the fight. It does scale up with Sig, so at max Sig, you'll get 15 at the start. So I wanted to showcase that even Unawakened, you can get those 15 Living Abyss within a 20 to 25 second period at the beginning of a fight. So to make up for the whole 200 SIGs, it only takes you 15 seconds. But you're saying, well, what if we're limited on hits? If you're going to spend the time building up those, if you were awakened in max SIG, you'd have 15 more. So what would the difference be if you had 15 more? Well, in an average fight, it actually is quite a big difference with, say, 20 armor breaks to 35 armor breaks. That 15 difference on a low number scale is actually quite significant, but for longer fights, for a boss fight or for an abyss fight where you're going to be the difference between 60 and 75, that's not going to make as much of a difference. But in this fight here, we're going to see I'm going to end up with 20 armor breaks. I tried very hard not to put Living Abyss on him, and so once he gets the corruption, I'm going to finish with the medium, and it's going to end us at 20 armor breaks. And then we're going to go up to a special 2, and we're going to take note of the damage. Now, this is not a perfect comparison, unfortunately, because we're going to get some crits, some not crits, and we're going to take a look at the middle hits here. So these middle hits here are doing 5.6 thousand damage on the crits, and we did get lucky with a crit at the end there, and that brought him down to 73%. So now we're going to go higher. We're going to play normal, just casually building up Living Abyss. We're not going to do parry medium heavy to intentionally build up as much as possible. We're going to do kind of a casual fight, what you would be willing to do in a normal fight, with some parry medium heavies, other combos ending with medium attacks, stuff like that. And we're going to be able to get up to 35, and that means we built up an extra 20 in the fight up until corruption lands, and that's going to be 15 more than the first clip I showed you. So now we're going to build up to our special 2 again, and when we throw that off, we're going to take a look at the difference in the numbers. And the numbers are hard to compare because of the crits and non-crits, but here the middle hits here are 7.3 thousand damage versus the 5.6 thousand damage, which is about 30% more damage with the 15 extra armor breaks. Now, we did end up with crit RNG leaving us at the same 73% on Winter Soldier with the same combo. Now, I did have a teammate of mine who was gracious enough with their rank 3 Unawakened Knull to give us some gameplay just to kind of show in an average fight. And I did ask him not to intentionally do tons of parry medium heavies to build up, a ton of Living Abyss, just kind of to casually do it like we did in our other Knull fights with the Awaken ability, which definitely helps to give you more Living Abyss if you were to do the parry medium heavies. However, you might not want to do that in every fight, and if you don't, you can still get some pretty decent numbers. Now, this is with 18 armor breaks, which is just barely over what the max Sig ability would actually give you, and so this is a very casual amount. And you can see we got very unlucky with crits on that one, so it did not quite do the damage we were hoping for, but the special 2 does add 10 more armor breaks, so now we're at 28. And so now the damage is actually pretty nice. You can see we're getting some nice crits, some good instant bleeds, and then he's going to go and throw off a special 1, which is going to convert some of the armor breaks back into Living Abyss, as well as turn them into degeneration and regeneration, and those degens are going to help put in a little bit of work. And so with that one special 1 at the end, we're pretty easily able to finish him off with a few more hits. Now, we did send over another clip with the same fight, and this time he ended up having 22 armor breaks, but we're going to encounter some random bug where he's going to throw the special 2, but it's not going to give the extra 10 armor breaks, which is a bit unfortunate. So we are working with less armor breaks than we were hoping to in this fight, but we got some nice crits, which did help a lot with the damage. Now, something that he's doing now is converting all those armor breaks back into Living Abyss so that when the corruption ends, he doesn't lose the armor breaks because they go on their cooldown timer after the corruption ends, but because he converted most of them back to Living Abyss before corruption ended, he can build up more of them in time for the next corruption. And when we do enter the next corruption with that higher number of armor breaks, we're going to see the damage is a bit higher, and then that combo just starts to shred him away. He does one quick intercept, 2 quick intercepts actually, and then finishes off the fight. Now, that was Act 6.4, quest number 1, I believe. So in Act 6, the last chapter of Act 6, opponent, and he did very well against him. Obviously, that one had no nodes or anything, but the health pools are fairly equal. Now, I do only have one more clip, which is in Act 7.4 with Paradox debuff potency. So the more Paradox you have, the increased potency of your debuffs, which is nice for Knull because he has lots of degeneration that he can apply by converting armor breaks back into Living Abyss when the opponent is corrupted. And those degens can do some potent damage. And that's with the special 1 or the medium, the fifth hit being a medium or a heavy attack can do that. Now this is a little bit of a longer fight, and it's partly because we don't have as many armor breaks on, and as you'll notice, when you convert the armor breaks into Living Abyss, once you've converted all the armor breaks, you're not able to apply any more degenerations, and then you remove the the increased damage that you can deal. But if you're cycling special 1s for a fight like this, you're going to have a new corruption applying very frequently, and between those cycles you can build up more and more Living Abyss, so as you get further into the fight, you're going to be able to build up more and more armor breaks. Now, I do not think Knull needs to be awakened in max sig to be good. If you do plan to awaken him for his sig ability, you do want to be able to heavily invest sigs into him because the benefit really comes in the later half of his sig numbers, where you can get over 10 of the Living Abyss at the very start of the fight. But Unawakened, you can get the same number of Living Abyss with just 20 seconds of ramp up, or you can just play with a slightly smaller number of armor breaks, and you're not going to miss out too much. But again, if you need them, you can just ramp them up a little bit more at the very start of the fight. So I do hope that this was helpful and interesting to you. Thank you so much to Wet Noodle for giving me some of this gameplay, and I hope to see you in the next video.